In this video I have a piece of field gear for you which really is meant for the logistical side of things. This was a request from someone when I did the videos on assembling the ALICE packs and also recommended items for your packing list inside your rucksack. And someone asked, what about the shelves for the ALICE pack frame? And it took me a little bit. They are available online. It just took me a while to get around to buying one. And here one is. There are a couple different versions of it. This I think is the later version. There's a different style that's smaller than this. I think that's actually meant for the frames that came before the ALICE pack frame. But I think they can be used on here. Now the actual military title for this is Shelf Cargo Support, or in civilian language, a cargo support shelf. Now the references I looked at to find out the information on this, and there is not a hell of a lot. I looked at the actual brochure that came with the ALICE gear when it was getting issued out in the 1970s. The title is All-Purpose Lightweight Individual Carrying Equipment ALICE 1973. And I also looked at FM 21-15 Care and Use of Individual Clothing and Equipment, the 1985 edition. I'll probably put links to both of those in the description of this video. Now, what little info they had in there. This shelf was supposed to have been issued with 2 cargo straps, and this is the type of strap that was issued with it. You had the buckle on one end and a hook on the other and a piece of webbing. I think these were usually known as like LC1 cargo straps when I've seen them for sale in surplus stores, but it's been a while. I know these were still issued when I was in the military, but usually we just got them issued and we tossed them in the back of a wall locker and never pulled them out except when we did inventories. Now, how the shelf is supposed to go on. There's no way to attach it permanently. It's just this little channel here. It's meant to slide right on, and then the weight of the cargo keeps it in place, in theory. It's meant to go on this bottom brace here on the frame. It's also meant to go on the middle brace. And it actually shows in the pictures for carrying ammo cans, use 2 shelves with 1 can on each brace. But, you know, in real life, you'd probably just have the one and you just have it on here and then stack your cans. And this is how it looks from the side. Now there is not a lot of support on this. I had one person ask a question about should they get one as a way to keep their medium ALICE pack in an upright position when they take it off so they don't have to reach down as far to pick it up. If you want to use it for that, I would really recommend you think about finding a way to strap this onto here to keep it in place. And better yet, you might want to think about sinking a hole through here and over here somewhere and then putting, say, a rivet through it or a screw with a wing nut on it and probably a lock washer so it doesn't come off when you don't want it to. And then make sure that that screw is behind this support bar here, so you're not going to be putting your back right into it. Because otherwise, you know, having the pack on here, this on the bottom, I just have a feeling that this is going to work its way off, and then your pack's going to fall over anyway. So kind of a better safe than sorry thing. Now, items that was mentioned in both of those publications for carrying on the shelf include 5-gallon water and fuel jugs, ammo cases, field ration cases, radios, and when they're talking about that, they're not talking about the newer ASIPs or even Singars. They're talking about the older radios, the PRIC 77s or PRC 77s and earlier. And I think I came across one reference that actually mentioned using this to support the PRIC 25 or PRC 25, which was used around Vietnam. And it also said in there for use this to carry bulk items. And I could see that using especially the double shelf on this, maybe stacking the fiber canisters of 60 millimeter or maybe 81 millimeter mortar rounds going like logs on the two shelves, and then a couple cargo straps going down here, and then maybe a couple going across here to keep it all tight up against the pack frame. Now I will go through and do my best here to show what they meant in the manual, because they didn't do very good in the description, I didn't think. So, said take your strap, frame like so is my guess, because they didn't quite explain it. They said run it through the frame or around the frame and the cargo. You'll take your heaviest can that you have, put it on the bottom. I would flip this hook around like so, so that it's facing out. Supposed to hook this together at roughly the center position of the cargo. Tighten up as best you can without crushing your cargo, and then flip to hold it in place, like so. Now if you have another can and you don't have a second shelf, you could stack it on top of the other one. And I'm going to show you another strap here, which I really recommend. This is the cargo strap we used the most when I was in. Just a little alligator clip on it. I got it stowed like this. I keep one inside my butt pack. These come in short lengths of say about a foot out to say 6 to 8 feet. You can get these really long, and the webbing on this can be narrow like this, and it can be up to like 2 inches wide. So maybe have some of these. See if this will fit around this ammo can. And it won't be too small. But it would be the same thing over under. Then you would bring it in, and then you would pull it tight like so to tighten it up. I thought the strap was a little longer, but it's not. And then I would really think about, if I had it set like this, I would think about running one vertical strap also from the top of the frame down on the inside, probably here, over this, then down, and then up and over, and fasten it down just to keep stuff locked tight up against the frame. Now to release this, you just pop it like so, disconnect the hook, take that off. Now, ration crates I recommended doing it like this, vertical, and then 2 straps, one here, one above the middle brace to hold it on, and it should not slip out. But a recommendation on this from carrying rucksacks, a lot of experience on this, you want your loads as high as possible on your back. You want it as close to your shoulders as possible. So I would think about maybe putting it on a shelf up top. And then make sure to run the strap going this way and then run a strap over the top of the frame under and tighten it down. Now, do I think this should be kind of a standard item? I could see it being a standard item for, say, headquarters personnel. And I'm going off of military service on this experience. Typically, if you were in combat arms, you were issued a large. If you were headquarters personnel, a support MOS, you got issued a medium. Maybe think about the same thing for headquarters personnel in a resistance unit. You know, have them use mediums, because your medium, you can strip it off of the frame and use it with the shoulder straps. The large you cannot. The large you have to have with a frame. So maybe have the frame, medium ALICE pack, 2 sets of shoulder straps, shelf, and say 4 cargo straps of whatever type, either this one or longer alligator ones like this. Then, when needed, you could go to your headquarters personnel, tell them you need the pack frames for transporting munitions to the front line or to the troops who are currently engaged. They can strip their mediums off of the frames, put on the second set of cargo straps, which should be inside the radio pouch. Get this set up, get the shelf or shelves put on, probably just a single shelf, and then make sure to have the 4 cargo straps attached to this. You could permanently, even while you're using this with the medium on here, maybe run your cargo straps on the frame even while you're carrying it, just to have like an additional bit of webbing support back here also, and then the straps are in place at all times, so that when you did have to go the route of using these to carry supplies, you know, everything's set up quick, wham bam, thank you ma'am, ready to go. As for the shelves, if I did that, if I attached it at the bottom with the medium on here, I would at a minimum put a strap tightened up going through one of these, or 2 of them, say the one here, the excess webbing rolled up underneath holding it in place. Maybe that would work. Now, for employing this in logistics, it's like I said, it would be for transporting bulk supplies. Basically, think of, you got a defense going on, okay? Your perimeter's being engaged, you got to take up ammunition, or you got to send it out to your troops who are located a little bit of ways. You carry the munitions forward on this to a collection site, which is going to be your ASP, your ammunition supply point. When it gets there, the munitions are taken off at the ASP, divided up, and then it's sent forward as needed, whatever ways possible. And then your portee, the person who carried the stuff up there, goes back, gets more, transports it forward. Weight on this, I'm guessing a max you should probably look at is 50 to 60 pounds, because once you get past the 60-pound mark, you have a tendency to break welds, like in here, and also pop the rivets on the ends of these braces. So figure 50, 60 pounds max. Now I did find in FM 21-15 that the U.S. military did create an actual pack board that was not meant for attaching a rucksack to. It was meant for carrying bulk freight, bulk items. And the weight on that was recommended between 50 to a max of 100 pounds. Less than that, they figured you could carry it on this with the cargo shelf. That's what I could think up. Links to those two manuals will be in the description. They obviously don't just cover the ALICE pack. There's also information in there on setting up your LCLBE. These manuals came out before the LBV. And the FM 21-15, it also has information in there about your shelter half, your load-bearing equipment, your chemical gear, your cold weather gear, wet weather gear, all that's in there too. And it covers also the usage and the care, how to clean it in the field and how to clean it back in the rear, what's authorized, what's appropriate. Hopefully that answers some questions. If anyone asks how many of these should be in a unit, I don't know. I really don't. I could say maybe, ideally think of maybe having about a squad's worth, so that in an emergency you would have your between 8 to say 15 people, depending on the size of the squads. You could have those frames that could be used for transporting ammunition in an emergency. Maybe use this for transporting mortar rounds when you're going to shell a particular target and they do not have counter battery radar to target your mortar tubes, and you want to keep them constantly going. You know, something like this would work for carrying the extra mortar rounds or rocket rounds. I could see RPG canisters being, because they're a bit longer, having them on here, strapped going across, carrying them on this, and then obviously ammunition and rations. Other items, I don't know. You could carry firewood on it pretty easy, but I would think twice about barrier material other than maybe some sandbags on here for trying to take large amounts forward. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.